The High Court will today rule whether to defer pleas for 11 senior police officers who are alleged to have killed baby Samantha Pendo and 39 protesters in Kisumu during the 2007 post-election violence. This is after the Director of Public Prosecutions, Renson Igonga, sought to have the plea taking deferred to allow him a search for one of the suspects who went missing. Appearing before Justice Margaret Muigai, the DPP, through State Counsel Mark Baraza, asked the court to postpone the plea for another 45 days to enable the Inspector General of Police and the National Police Service to trace and arrest the former police senior superintendent Mohammed Ba, who fled since 2022 when the case was filed. Baraza also sought the prosecution to be given more time to review the investigations and amend the charge sheet before the officers can answer to the charges. The DPP claims that the charges facing the senior police officers revolve around international crimes, including numerous human rights violations, torture and extrajudicial killings, and the case cannot proceed in the absence of Ba.
Any request for international assistance shall be acceded to.
To allow me to retire, go through what the able submissions that have been made by all teams and the file again if I missed out anything, and then tomorrow in the afternoon at about 3, I think I'll be able to deliver what I think would be the directions in the matter.
But the lawyer representing the family, Willie Sotieno, disputed the request, saying it will delay justice to the family since 2017.
If the DPP is not interested in prosecuting this case, then he owes Kenyans an explanation as to why he does not intend for plea taking to be done in this particular case.
Pearl Newsbeat.
The High Court will on February 3rd rule whether it will grant Sarah Wairimu, who is accused of murdering her husband in July 2019, a cash bail. This is after she pleaded not guilty to the fresh charge of murdering her Dutchman businessman Cohen. She entered the plea at the Kibra High Court before Justice Diana Kavedza after the court rejected the prosecution's request for a new mental health assessment. The prosecution had initially sought a new mental health evaluation before allowing her to plead, but the court accepted the report from the Mathare Referral Hospital showing she was fit for trial. Following this, Wairimu's plea was formally taken. The court also heard that the prosecution intends to oppose her release on bail. They were given 24 hours to file an affidavit in support of the application, with the defense given 12 hours to respond. Until then, Wairimu will remain in custody at the Langata Women's Prison. She was arrested on Thursday, January 23rd, and initially detained at the Kilimani police station. Her lawyers alleged that the police misled her, convincing her to pick up some personal items from the station before arresting her. She was arraigned on Friday but did not take a plea due to the mental health assessment dispute.
Pearl Newsbeat.
In other news, the government has assured HIV and AIDS patients of an ample supply of the antiretroviral drugs following the United States move to cut foreign aid. Speaking in Mombasa, the Director General of Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth, assured that the ministry is strengthening regional collaborations and seeking alternative financing to maintain access to life-saving medications for people living with HIV.
We have of HIV commodities, be it antiretrovirals, be it the testing commodities. We have strengthened our supply chain pipeline in the last 1-2 years to ensure that at any given time we have more than 6 months of stock. We are told globally as a best practice that if you run a big program like the one we run, where we have nearly 1.4 million Kenyans on treatment, then you must be able to ensure that you have your plan B, be able to address any contingencies that would arise either deliberately or out of events outside your control.
The WHO has expressed concern following US President Donald Trump's decision to cut funding for HIV programs in low and middle-income countries, a move that could endanger the lives of over 30 million people globally. This as the former President Uhuru Kenyatta has called on Kenyans to embrace self-reliance following the US decision. This has criticized the government's reliance on foreign aid and urged a shift towards self-sufficiency.
Some people the other day crying, oh, I don't know, Trump has removed money. He said he's not giving us any more money. Watu wanalia. Why are you crying? It's not your government, it's not your country. He has no reason to give you anything. I mean, you don't pay taxes in America. He is appealing to his people. Shauri yenu bwana. This is a wake-up call for you to say, okay, what are we going to do to help ourselves? Instead of crying, tujiulize, what are we going to do? Haya, ametoa hiyo pesa, sasa tutafanya namna gani jameni? What are we going to do?
Pearl Newsbeat.
And across the borders, the Democratic Republic of Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi is not taking part in regionally brokered talks aimed at ending the rebel assault on the key eastern city of Goma, as reported by the state media. President William Ruto had invited Tshisekedi and his Rwandan counterpart Paul Kagame to a virtual summit as corpses lay on the streets of Goma following heavy fighting. Neighboring Rwanda is accused of backing the M23 rebel group, which has taken over much of the city, including its airport. About 280 Romanian mercenaries who were fighting on the side of DR Congo's army had surrendered to M23, according to the Rwanda Defense Force. This as Pope Francis has expressed his concerns over the developments in Congo, and he asked the government forces to much of the beleaguered city of Goma was calm early morning, a day during which thousands of people fled, hunkered down by roadsides as missiles flew, and injured people streamed to overwhelmed hospital. Francis also called for an end to the violence in capital Kinshasa, where protesters attacked at least 10 embassies, including those of Rwanda, Belgium, France, and the US. Several countries, including the US, United Kingdom, and France, have condemned Rwanda for their rebel advance.
Pearl Radio, the home of fresh and classic hits.